this point about data, this is a point that General Bhatia also made, that data is the new oil, and the ownership of this data, where that data kind of resides in, that's fundamental to this whole debate. And the last couple of years, we've been talking about data localization in India. And surprisingly, while the Chinese companies were okay with localizing data, the American companies were protesting this thing of data localization. I think the government has postponed that decision until after the elections. They're going to take a call on that. But tell us, we've been hearing this thing about AI, the way AI is, advances in AI. How important is data localization when you're looking at AI developments and the large data models that they need to basically, perfect their programs?
Oh, look, absolutely. It's extremely critical because when you look at any kind of AI tool, right, which is as sophisticated as, they come today, they are built using large language models or LLMs. And these LLMs need to train on certain data sets, right? So the efficiency of the LLM, we talk about ethics and biasness in the AI tool. So the level of bias or the kind of bias that they have, it all depends upon the data sets that they train on, right? So the data, even in the AI space, is extremely critical. And now, today, what the government is saying is that, look, there are certain kinds of data that we want to ensure are completely localized. We don't want parts of that data also to travel outside the country. For example, the RBI has already mandated that for fintech data, any kind of financial data can't go outside India. And that is outside of our data protection law. So that was a separate directive given by the RBI. And now with our new data law coming in, rules have to be notified, which we believe will happen right after the elections are concluded. At that point of time, I think the overall compliance, especially for big tech companies who want a free flow of data, right? And there is perhaps some merit to that as well, because not all data is sensitive. And generally for big tech companies to manage their business, some amount of inter-jurisdictional data flow might be relevant. The EU, for example, has actually allowed some kind of data flow happening based on the requirement that you have the same kind of data control, data protection regulations as the EU. So they believe that, look, if you can build in the same kind of system in your country, then it's okay if EU data goes to you. So the chances are the Indian law now has taken a slightly more liberal approach, because earlier they said we will not allow you to transfer data to certain countries. Now they are saying you can transfer data to any country except for those countries that we ban. And which countries are banned, we will find out eventually.
Right, absolutely. And that we have to wait a few months for that after the elections. But, Ritvik, this point about data localization, what can we learn from the way the Americans have gone after TikTok? What are the lessons for India from this whole chapter? You think it calls for enhanced data localization, maybe not allowing a lot of foreign social media app developers to extract data, because we don't have data is the new oil. We don't have oil, but we have a lot of data, 1 billion people on the internet.
Yes, and in fact, I would say that data localization, the term, leaves something to be desired. I would actually prefer something like data sovereignty. Basically, who has control over the data at the end of the day, right? So localization is simply a matter of where it is stored in terms of the physical location of the servers. But the servers could be anywhere, but it could in fact be under the control, eventually, of a foreign corporation. So what we're thinking about, much like what Dhruv said, are what are the crucial pieces of data or the types of data that we as a country should have sovereignty over. So we cannot resort, usually at least, to just kind of an outright ban on things, right? So we could do that with some things sometimes, at some of the times, and as Aditya very correctly mentioned, Galwan really was the trigger to what happened with the certain Chinese companies. In a lot of other cases, for example, with American social media companies, etc., there's no position, there's no way that you can actually put them outright, right? So what you need to do is think in terms of more granular approach, like what kinds of data, like especially stuff like health data, fintech, those kind of things. And you need to think in terms of ways that you can protect the data, firewall it from being copied over or read over by things like large language models. Because you don't want a situation where somebody's health data is being used with ChatGPT or some other large language model to crunch its own algorithm without any consent. So issues about consent, sovereignty, etc., become really, really crucial here. and we are thinking very proactively about these things.
Right. Aditya, what are the lessons that we can learn from this massive ban of TikTok in the US?
First and foremost, not to wake up late. I mean, our China policy was in a wait and watch mode for decades together.
Right.
I can't blame a single political party or a single government, but I think multiple governments looked the other way and just didn't want to act. And similarly, at the LAC, the border talks are still ongoing. And this is the larger big game of China. You know, to extract territory. Tire you out, exhaust you completely. You know, just like the Chinese scholars have also mentioned, this is the China dream of Xi Jinping. But I think the US has woken up late as well. There's been a debate that's been ongoing in the US for a very long time. And in particular, we have the Data Privacy Act now, but a lot needs to be implemented. And this needs to be changed every time a new technology is introduced and is implemented. So I think we have also woken up late on the data privacy law, but a lot can change if we implement it in a much more finer term, and the implementation certainly would be the key.
Right, implementation certainly the key. And General Bhatia, the point that Aditya made about waking up late is something that you also said, that, you know, you thank the Chinese for waking us up on the LAC 4 years back. But, you know, given this whole debate, furious debate around data sovereignty, and very clearly data is going to be key in the years ahead, given that AI is coming in. What are the kind of reforms that you would expect from the government in the next couple of months when it comes to data sovereignty, you know, guarding the data of over 1 billion Indians, given the advances in artificial intelligence and, you know, generative artificial intelligence particularly?
Yeah, I think we would like it, but then there are national, priorities, competing priorities for resources. We would like data centers, our own data centers, where we have our own data, and we exploit our own data for the well-being of our 1.4 billion Indians. So that is what I would like. But how we go about it, the roadmap has to be there. First, we have to have a vision and a strategy to do that, and then we have to have the resource to do that. And the resources there, the government is very well aware of it. Let me assure you that it is not that government is not aware, and we are aware that the data priority has to be given, and data has to be, it has to be held locally within the sovereignty of India. Right? If we don't have our own data, our sovereignty is going to get questioned in the near to mid term. I'm not saying long term, near to mid term. Right? And so that is very important. But where the resource going to come from? That is the key issue. And we have to allocate resources, and it has to be priority. But there are many priorities. So I can understand the government's dilemma. It's very easy for us to sit on say that we need this, we need that. We need many more things also. So that is one part. But let me go back to China. You know, we are aware of the Chinese 3 warfare strategies. It started in somewhere in 2013, 2014, and the 3 warfare strategies were public opinion, psychological operations, and legal warfare. So 2 of the 3 poles were basically driven by data. So it's not that we did not know about it. And at least, fortunately, the military took a lot of steps to ensure that we do not get our data out, and that is why, you know, a lot of our people say, no, why can't I be on the Facebook in uniform? Why can't I be on the social?
No, I remember the national security apparatus was the first to flag these, over the last couple of years, the fact that, you know, the free access that the Chinese have to social media information was going to be a problem. But this is a debate that we're going to follow again very closely. And as General Bhatia mentioned, that we have to thank the Chinese for a lot of things, especially waking us up, whether be it on the line of actual control or be it data sovereignty, which is an issue that India has to pursue with increased seriousness. But I'd like to thank my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul, General Bhatia, Dhruv and Ritwik for joining us this evening for this very interesting debate on TikTok and the data doublespeak. Thanks for watching.
Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.